Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's webcast, we're exploring the intersection where modernization and customer experience overlap, and we're having an in-depth discussion about the rise of generative AI and the confusion, risks, and opportunities that come with it. To discuss that, I'm joined by two great experts. But before we begin, I've got just a bit of housekeeping to do. First, thank you everyone for attending today. We do want to hear from you, and we'll be answering your questions at the end of the presentation. Please feel free to send questions along using the Q&A section on your screen anytime during the presentation. Also, today's webinar is being recorded. We'll send you the recording in the next 24 hours. All right, on to the good stuff, on to the experts. Today I'm joined by Ramana Reddy, Technology General Manager, Customer Experience at Conduit. Ramana, thanks for joining with us today.
Thank you, James, for inviting us for this discussion on Gen AI and customer experience. This is an exciting area of innovation for the industry. I'm really looking for the discussion. I have about 20 years of experience in digital transformation, and I can tell you that this technology shift is going to be much bigger than the ones in the past.
Mm-hmm. Also with me today is Dejan Gaines, CIO, Customer Experience at Conduit. Dejan, good to have you on the panel today.
Thank you, James. Happy to be here. It's just a matter of fact that I'm actually in one of our delivery centers for CX, located here in Guatemala City. Have an excellent opportunity to connect and collaborate and see how we're putting these best practices to real-world usage here at Conduit.
Mm-hmm. Great. Dejan, could you give us a brief overview of Conduit? I mean, how does the company serve its customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So Conduit, we have a deep discipline and expertise in the customer experience space. I've personally been here since 2004 and been able to watch that roadmap and that trajectory unfold. We have about 30 years of experience, 30,000 associates around the globe, in really long-standing relationships with our clients. Just thinking about it, I can count at least 10 clients that we have in this space with more than 20 years of experience with us. So that's a lot of trust that our clients are putting in Conduit to best represent them, their brand, and engage with their customers. And lastly, this is a global operation that we have. So we're a global model, and we currently support around 20 plus different languages, which position us really well to service the needs of our clients.
All right, great. Well, let's dive right in and talk about the ever-changing, evolving landscape of generative AI. There's so much going on these days. Dejan, from your perspective, can you share the shifts in the landscape over the last 2 years and what buyers are looking for?
Yeah, so, when I think about the industry, everyone's feeling the financial pressure. So everyone's looking to Gen AI to help to alleviate some of that pressure. But you have to make sure that you're striking that appropriate balance. And that's where we're helping our clients. We're giving them the enhancements of a digital-first solution while ensuring that we're not sacrificing that customer experience or that engagement that they come to trust us with.
All right, so we're ready for a poll, and let's look at the poll questions. The poll questions are, where do you see the biggest benefit in implementing Gen AI capabilities in your customer experience journey? Looks like we've got some questions. Ramana, do you see the questions there?
Yeah, I see those questions coming up.
Cost savings, productivity. I know we want to give the audience a moment to vote. We'd love the audience to respond. I love the interactivity of this. While we're waiting, any thoughts on the possibilities there?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the audience stacks up their priorities in terms of benefits. But if you were to ask me, I'll go out on a limb and say that probably one will kind of rise to the top. And we've got to see. I think I'm seeing a lot of responses coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is great. I think this is what we expect to see.
I think we probably have most of the sorry to interrupt. I think we have most of the votes. I get your sense. What do you make of these responses?
It's not surprising as I see it. I think they're the ones that are coming through in terms of productivity improvements have been sort of the stalwart, right, if you will, about Gen AI, how that can really enable business processes and workflows as it aids, the humans in doing their work. I'm also seeing a lot of responses tied to cost savings. And this goes back to the point that Dejan mentioned earlier about companies tightening their financial belt, if you will. So it's not surprising to me in those being the first two priorities in terms of benefits for Gen AI.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And I think that it there's a common theme there, right? If we get the productivity right, then we can reduce costs, we can increase personalization, and they kind of play hand in hand. So it was a really good question and responses that we saw there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dejan, from your experience with both prospects and clients on this journey, can you share some common misperceptions about Gen AI? And also, it would be great to get some best practices for Gen AI.
Yeah, so, what we see a lot is that, we had some potential clients, requesting some Gen AI services to be enabled. And it's a little bit more involved than that, right? We all want the easy button where we just turn it on and we start to reap the benefits. But there's a bit of a misconception, right? It is a bit of a journey. So what we do at Conduent is we work closely with our clients to understand where they are. And we'll talk about some of the journey orchestration a little bit later, but that's a really important foundation that we like to establish in collaboration with our clients, because the next steps are going to dictate on where they want to be so that we can drive the solution to more of an outcome-based model for them, because each client has different requirements. But one of the misconceptions that I really want to touch on is that, it's not a one and done. There's continuous feeding, continuous improvement life cycle that you have to continually learn from the data. And as you do that, you'll continue to evolve the platform and drive deeper efficiencies and scalabilities on behalf of your clients. So in a nutshell, I guess I would say there's really no finish line, because we always strive to get better and drive deeper value for our clients.
Mm-hmm. It's so true about no finish line. It really always keeps going in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Great insight. Now, before we move into sharing some real world examples, let's take another audience poll. And on this one, the question is, which of the following capability areas are you currently implementing or looking to implement over the next 12 to 18 months? Select all that apply. I see the audience is voting. We'll give everyone a moment to vote. Ramana, while we're waiting, what do you see? These possibilities: agent assist, language translation. What's big for you here?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of possibilities here. So I also see there's a choice for other. But I would say this may vary quite a bit from our audience members in terms of what their business strategy is in the particular industry that they operate in. So I'm curious to see how this stacks up. I don't have any guesses. Obviously, we at Conduent are placing our bets in some areas as being our near-term opportunities. But I'll tell you this, in terms of as we wait for some of the results to trickle in, I want to share an example of how fast the evolution has been for Gen AI capabilities. We're coming up to the second-year anniversary since OpenAI released their first version of ChatGPT. This was about November, I think, 2022. And we're in 2024, November. And the pace of innovation and development in Gen AI has been amazing. One example, just to kind of talk about what I've encountered recently. A leading company, and you might guess who it is, has created a capability where you can create a podcast with just a push of a button. All you need to do is point the AI to a selection of data sources that could be the subject matter. And within minutes, it can create an entire podcast with real human voices discussing the topic at depth. So I wonder, James, in the next iteration of the webinar, who might be the speakers there in that conversation?
That is an interesting question.
Absolutely.
That really is. All right. So yes.
I'm seeing some of these results come in, and I think we'll be talking about some of these topics, and it's quite interesting that they actually align. And I know there's no planning involved here with audience members, but we're talking about quite a few of these topics.
What do you see? What do you make a big picture through the results?
So big picture is, I think, a lot to do with language abilities, right? I mean, that's where the strength of Gen AI is. So you can see a lot of the poll results pointing to accent neutralization, it's talking about live translation, and then the quality assurance or automation of that. Obviously, I think one area that was down the list is about virtual agents. Now, that's always been an area that AI was going to play a role in the past. But with Gen AI, that seems like that's being souped up quite a bit. And the capabilities of what virtual agents can do is going to be transformative looking forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, following up, Ramana, what are your thoughts about the pace of evolution we're seeing today in terms of clients and making the best possible business choices?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, the pace of innovation is being quite amazing. And it's really up to companies in our industry to keep up. There is a sense that the consumer side of technology advances is going at much faster pace, which has been traditionally the way technology operates. And then by the time it catches up on the enterprise side, it's already being vetted. The users are quite comfortable and they get native experience in using the technology. So I think from our perspective, it's time to kind of get in and apply those technologies to our own industry. And that's where we want to kind of shift to talking about some real world examples.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we want to do is to introduce to the audience 3 examples. And again, these align quite well to some of the poll responses that we've seen. And the first one I want to talk about is Agent Assist. And our approach to Agent Assist is twofold. First, we want to enable our associates to be as efficient as possible in their workflow. For instance, we want to reduce the human involvement in the pre and post interaction work, where the goal is to really reduce the average handle time, right, without compromising the quality of the interaction. And Gen AI has really helped us in those capabilities, whether it is authentication, identification of who the caller is, to all the way to the end of the interaction, being able to do wrap-up work like call summarization or tagging your call with the disposition. The second area that we believe is going to be quite meaningful is in enabling our associates with knowledge as much as possible based on their real-time interaction with the caller. And this is, I think, very familiar in our industry as next best action by way of suggestions or even auto responses where the system automatically prompts the agent with a particular response. And this really helped in our first call resolution. So I think in that term, Gen AI has really made a huge difference, and we'll see more of this applying in the Agent Assist arena.
Mm-hmm.
A third emerging area of exploration is coaching, and this is where I think it could be a bit of a game changer for us in terms of the speed of proficiency that our agents can get onto a production floor.
Absolutely. I think that being able to help our agents as they're learning a new client, a new business unit, and get that speed to proficiency is very profound. With Conduent being a BPO, we have the privilege and the opportunity to service many clients. So we can take those best practices, embed it into what we're seeing from an industry perspective, and really help turn that learning curve around in our benefit to get associates highly trained and comfortable servicing the customers. So this one's a big one for us.
Yeah, totally agree, Dejan. So the next one is as we've seen in the polls, is accent neutralization. Now, as a global BPO, Conduent serves many markets and operates across many sites across the world. And accents and languages really separate the high quality conversation between our customers and our associates. So we're trying to bridge that gap. And we're piloting technology that allows us to really use Gen AI that modulates voice patterns to smooth out any accents in real time. And this delivers like crisp, clear conversations. And we have really seen really good results in our pilot studies. And what's amazing about this is it actually retains the speaker's original tone and voice. So we don't lose the empathetic sort of interaction that's necessary in human to human interactions. And so for any company with a global workforce, this is a technology I think that can significantly improve the quality of interactions and also boost your customer satisfaction. So this has a lot of value to kind of explore. One thing I would add is also, I think we've seen from the poll, that's a lot of interest from the audience about live translation. And we've started to see some value in that as we're exploring. I think, Dejan, if you want to add to this in some of the recent studies we've done.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we spoke about the speed of innovation just a moment ago. And, just as we're getting comfortable with accent neutralization, we have to be looking through the curve. We have to see where the industry is going. And what we see fastly approaching is the real-time translation services that are really becoming more mainstream. Ramana touched on this before. We've been seeing real-time translation services in the consumer market, and now it's really getting the momentum in the enterprise market. So that's just, over the past, I'd call it 8 months, 8 to 12 months. So that gives you a sense of how quickly the technology is building on one another to just become more and more beneficial as we look across the landscape.
Yeah, Dejan, that's actually, I'm really excited about that particular capability that we'll be, showcasing next year with our clients. Now, moving on to the next topic, this is on our automated quality assurance or automated QA. Now, this has been a high priority for our industry because it ensures that our associates are able to be managed in terms of their performance and the quality of interactions, but also create learning opportunities for them to improve. And what we believe to be the holy grail for QA is having high quality, objective, timely, and frequent evaluations of our workforce. This benefits them to be able to do better at their job, but it also helps our overall operations in terms of identifying where there might be areas for improvement. Now, with Gen AI and what we've seen in our pilot studies, that this is coming to be very close to that expectations, where we can now apply automated QA to get 100% of the interactions evaluated and scored by AI. And every evaluation is objectively scored as opposed to having a human variation from evaluation to evaluation. And third, we're able to provide a 360 evaluation. So while it may have been that a quality analyst is looking at just one interaction on the voice, we're now able to collect information not only by analyzing the speech of the interactions between the caller and the associate, but also by the actual feedback provided and by some of the sentiment that we pick up in the conversation that is not readily available in the text itself. So this is going to be quite game-changing in our perspective in introducing this technology, and we're looking forward to this. And like I mentioned, the value and benefit is not only to the operations, but we also believe that by enabling this, deploying this technology, we can actually have really meaningful impact on our associates and actually reduce the attrition as well.
Yeah, and there's an added benefit here. So going back to my theme about learning from the data, so for us on the technology side, we can take that data, right? We're doing 100% evaluation on every call, and then we can start to look for the trends and the insights and take those meaningful insights back to our customers. So, if we see that there's a common topic that continues to flow through our digital channels and land with our associates, then we can go back and we can evaluate that to see if there's some tweaking, some improvement. Part of that continuous lifecycle management is from us on the technology side, learning from this data as well. So the insights are very valuable for the associates, the business, and the technologists alike.
Absolutely, Dejan. So, James, these were the 3 examples I wanted to share with the audience. We could go on for some more, but in the interest of time, I'll just talk about one additional example here. It's not in a slide that we prepared, but given the results of the polls, I think it'd be remiss if you didn't mention it. This is about virtual agents. This is at the very early stage. Like I mentioned, we've used conversational AI and bots previously, but the step change in the way the interactions of bots within the calls has changed dramatically, and we're actually exploring a technology at the moment that I think can really change the game on those interactions as well. And we're going to be introducing that in combination with live translation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dejan to kind of talk about our outcomes-driven approach, kind of bring this all home.
Yeah, so when you think about it, it's a little bit of a balancing act. We all desire the performance that Gen AI can bring to the table, but on the other end of those interactions are our customers, and we have to make sure that we're balancing that customer experience as well. So part of the methodology that we have here at Conduent is we like to develop our tools, develop our self-service solutions, and then we let our associates test them out and validate it. So we're doing more of a behind the scenes to make sure we're getting the performance out of the digital channels that we're designing for our clients before we bring them to the forefront where the customer would actually interface with them. So when you look at this dynamic here, everything we do, the client is at the center of all of the decisions we make from the CX perspective. So when we get the formula right, when we get the balancing right, the balance between performance and experience, that's when we really start to see that hockey stick trajectory where we're driving value for both Conduent and our clients, and just as importantly, the customers that are on the other end of the digital experience. You know, they have a desire to get that data, that information through the channels that they prefer. So by us continuing to improve this, keeping the clients at the center of everything we do, we're able to achieve that value proposition that you see there at the bottom of the chart.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think I'm noticing a theme here listening to you. I would say that sounds like the more you lean in, the more you get back from digital services. Ramana, your thoughts on this?
No, I tend to agree, James. I think this is an area where, like I said, it is still nascent, right? It's only 2 years old. But if we don't emphasize some of the experimentation and early proofs of concept or pilots, I get a sense that we'll be left behind, because it is a rapidly emerging arena of technology, and we all have to place our bets. Mm-hmm. So in terms of leaning in, I would encourage the audience and other technology leaders to kind of work with your business partners to figure out, where you want to really lean in and drive some of these innovations and transformation, because more or less it's going to happen, right? Whether we do it or get it, somebody else does it to us. So this is something that's important to kind of do.
Mm-hmm. All right, so thank you, Dejan and Ramana, for sharing your perspectives with us today. Now let's open it for the audience to questions. We do have some questions. Let's see what's in the queue. All right, here's a first one. A lot of companies have made investments in infrastructure. Do you simply need to add on to existing technology or completely overhaul to take advantage of AI? Ramana, your thoughts on that?
Okay, it's a good question. It's like one of the first we tackle on this journey, and I'm sure it's relevant for many of those in the audience as well. I would answer the question in 2 parts. The first one is really understand the business drivers, right? For what's the business drivers for Gen AI? And then second one is understanding the regulatory context under which you operate. I think these are the 2 dimensions that we look through in our sort of breadth of services that we provide. And there's certainly an advantage to overhauling your existing technology stack, because they work better with some of the technology advances that we're seeing in terms of Gen AI. And so we're taking a digital-first strategy by enabling a cloud-based platform, right? That unlocks most of the potential that you want to gain in this arena. But on the other hand, as a BPO, we work in highly regulated markets, government and healthcare being some of them. And in those cases, we've made some investments in our technology that's very hard to overhaul completely because of the way that they're being set up. And in those cases, we're looking at add-on capabilities that some partners are actually kind of serving the market as well. So from our perspective, we're going to take this as a hybrid approach, where in some areas that we're going to really drive a lot of change. And that change is going to happen only with sort of looking at the entire technology stack and make those changes across the board. And in some areas, we're going to be looking at more of an add-on capabilities where we can still add some of the benefits of Gen AI, but don't have to completely overhaul the technology stack.
All right, we've got another question. Here it is. How do you usually approach this orchestration or journey when clients come to you to help with AI integration? Dejan, the details here?
Yeah, it's a collaborative approach, right? If you think about, the many different paths you can take on the digital experience journey, you really got to start with you are here, right? So Ramana and I, we spend a lot of time working with our clients to understand where they currently are in their CX journey. And then equally as important, we look at what outcomes are you looking to achieve? Are you looking to improve the customer experience? You're looking to drive more sales? You're looking to offer more self-service, so forth, so on. And then that's where we can really start to formulate a plan for the journey orchestration for our clients. But I can't stress it enough. It is a very collaborative approach. We're the trusted advisors, but we want to make sure that we're at the end of the engagement, that we're meeting the customer, at the outcomes that they expect.
Let's see. I think we have one more question. Can you clarify how you're using generative AI as opposed to AI data analytics in general? Thoughts on that from the two of you?
Yeah, I think it's a great question because we separate the two. I think Gen AI, we're applying more where speech and language is essential, which is the interactions. Whereas the AI analytics, we're applying at the back end to extract information from the conversations or interactions that have already happened. I think you heard Dejan talking about getting to insights as some of the outcomes. Mm-hmm. And that's how we're applying it. So we are developing a complete data pipeline where we're able to mine the information with the structured or unstructured data and apply AI analytics there. Now, some of the companies at the leading edge are looking at Gen AI in terms of analytics as well. We haven't yet explored that area, but I think it's a great area of promise, especially when there's unstructured information.
It allows us to get a deeper understanding of our business, right? So when we're going back to the clients with our analytics, and they can really see that we understand how they operate, which is essential for us as a BPO, because we want to make sure we're an extension of their team. So the analytics piece is going to definitely move to the forefront. I understand that it's usually an output of an engagement, but you just can't go deep enough on the data, right, and extract those valuable insights that we can present back to our clients. So great question.
All right. Okay, so we've really covered a lot of great material about generative AI and customer experience. I'd like to get any final thoughts from the two of you. Ramana, in closing, what would you like to add? What's important for people to know?
It's a great discussion, by the way, James. I think it really brings out a lot of the elements that we want to share with the audience today. But one of the things that I want to kind of leave behind is, as technology leaders, we have to be mindful of the human element of this technology shift. While we get excited in where the technology is leading us, we also know that a lot of this technology will have far-reaching impact, across the industry and to people in general. And so I know that change is going to be hard, but when it's managed with empathy and foresight, I think we can really create opportunities for everyone along the way.
Mm-hmm. Dejan, your closing thoughts today?
Yeah, we covered a lot of good information, and as it says on the slide here, I just want to say thank you to James and the audience that's listening in today. We're on a really exciting journey. I'm just having a hard time thinking about when there's been this much transformation in the industry, and going back from when we went from analog to digital, right? It still wasn't as profound as what we're seeing now in the Gen AI space. So I would just say, look, I encourage you to stay in touch, to collaborate with us. We're going through the same journey that you guys are going on. and together, we can definitely win. So I'm excited. I know Ramina's excited. So hopefully you guys, we were able to portray some of that through this webcast today. And thank you once again.
Mm-hmm. All right, well put. To learn more about Conduent, please visit the URL or scan the QR code on the screen. Plus, there's an ebook about generative AI you can download. You'll find that over on the resources button there on the right-hand side of the screen. Dijon and Ramana, thank you for the presentation. I learned a lot. And to our attendees, thank you very much for attending today. We do greatly appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.